Elon Musk has talked about moving Tesla's corporate headquarters from where it is currently, Delaware, incorporated in Delaware, to Texas. In fact, he did a recent Twitter post, did a poll, got a significant outpouring for a move to Texas, and now he's announced that they're going to move to the shareholder vote to potentially carry out that transaction. Now, this is going to be interesting because it's going to bring up a lot of legal issues, and we're going to jump into today some of what we're seeing, some lessons that perhaps we might learn from this for our companies and the businesses we work with. But we're also going to look at what's happening over at Tesla. For those of you who don't know me as well, I'm Shawn McBride. I am a business consultant. I am also a lawyer. I am licensed in numerous U.S. states, and I practice at some of the largest law firms in the United States, and now have my own corporate practice where I work with businesses that are growing. So I'm very familiar with these corporate laws. I want to bring some of the lessons to you so that you can understand what's going on here and what we're seeing. So it starts with you get to pick your state of incorporation, and that is business law 101. Basically, your internal affairs are, in general, governed by the state in which you are incorporated. Now, there are some limited exceptions we see here and there. Sometimes states try to maintain some jurisdictions. California has special rules for companies that have significant connections to the state of California, even if they're incorporated in another state. That may be an issue, as Tesla is still showing California address on their SEC filings as a potential location where they are doing business. So they have a headquarters there, and they've been in California. Now I understand they've moved significant operations to Texas, so they may be past that. But also, Tesla has that connection now to Texas. Some states have also jumped in and tried to do some other stuff with internal affairs. But in general, you get to pick your state of incorporation. And what Elon's saying is, I want to pick Texas as the state of incorporation for Tesla. Now, of course, he'll need a board vote and a shareholder vote, which we'll talk about, but he can potentially move it. But I think there are some bigger issues here which are getting missed, and lessons that are important for you and me when we try to apply this on a practical level, and some gotchas that might come back to them. Now, what will likely happen here is that Tesla will do what we call a conversion. They will move the entity from Delaware to Texas using both states' conversion statutes. Now, many states today have these conversion statutes, and they allow you to make a filing essentially saying you're moving your entity from one state to another. So it's much easier than it used to be. Many years ago, you used to do mergers to do this. You would do a merger that was prearranged and pre-organized. You would merge from one state to the other. Now, many states have adopted conversion statutes, so you can just file in both states and say you're going to convert. Delaware Statute Code Section 266 allows a conversion, including a conversion out of Delaware. And the Texas Business Organizations Code Section 10.102 allows a conversion into Texas. So the statutes line up well. Essentially, if he can get the approvals needed in Delaware, which is the board and the shareholders, according to Delaware Statute 266, Code Section 266, he can do that. So that is likely what's going to happen. We've already seen the shareholders are very supportive of his moves, but there may be some legal issues here. Now, when Tesla got their shareholder vote in that case over compensation, the one has been so famous and so talked about lately, and I did a whole longer video about that. I'm not going to rehash that entire video here. I just want to hit some of the high spots of what's going on. So with those legal issues there that came up, it was largely about disclosing to the stockholders what was going on. In fact, that is one of the key things that the Delaware judge held on to, and one of the reasons why his compensation package was invalidated was they did not feel like there was adequate disclosure to the shareholders about what was going on. And so I expect that this move may have a similar issue. And if you look at the Delaware Code Section 266, it talks about retaining Delaware jurisdiction for actions prior to the conversion. So that would also potentially include that conversion out. So This conversion from Delaware to Texas may be reviewable in Delaware should there not be adequate disclosure about why this is happening and what is going on here. And of course, what this looks like is an attempt for Elon to get into Texas and away from Delaware to potentially approve another compensation package. So don't be surprised if we don't see yet another lawsuit in Delaware about the conversion out. Now, the question is, will this be effective? Will this allow Elon to have another pay package like what he had before, right? That ultimately must be the objective here, right? Is to get to a place where he can approve another compensation package. His $56 billion package has been disallowed by the court. He's apparently not getting it, absent an appeal or other action. But will his next approval go through? Here's what's interesting. And I read the 201-page Delaware opinion, so you don't have to. And I did a whole video largely going through that opinion, so you can get familiar with it. It's over on my YouTube channel, our Shawn McBride Law Firm show. So go check that out. He is not addressing some of the core issues that are here. Namely, the Delaware court, aside from people trying to allege it's political, was just not very happy with the approval process. And here's what really came out in that Delaware opinion: 201 long pages, a lot of footnotes. But the judge is not happy with the way essentially Tesla is being run from a corporate governance standpoint. It appears Tesla's general counsel is his former divorce lawyer, and that's okay. A lawyer can convert from one practice area to another. But the judge was very unhappy with how some of the documentation happened. There was a lot of board meetings that didn't have minutes and records, and for some that did have minutes, there was very little discussion about this $56 billion compensation plan. So it looked very bad from a governance standpoint. Also, a lot of the directors got significant compensation, ties to other Elon Musk companies outside of Tesla, a lot of interconnections and ties. So there is some real concern. Delaware and Texas have very similar statutes on approving interested director transactions. While they are structured slightly different in how they're spaced and how they use the ands or ors, there's essentially three ways to approve an interested director or interested officer transaction in both Delaware and Texas. And that is to get an approval of a disinterested board or committee, or get the approval of shareholders with all the material information, or have a transaction that is entirely fair to the company. Now, entire fairness is going to be difficult in either state because the pay package is so significant and so extraordinary that you will really have to work hard to show that it's fair from an objective standpoint. So what we're back to is either getting that board approval or that shareholder approval, both of which were attempted in the transaction in Delaware. The problem was the board had significant ties to Elon, so the Delaware court did not like the disinterestedness of that vote. And then fast forward to the shareholder vote, and it talked about the approval of the disinterested directors, which was strike one, but it also hid information about earning projections and other things. Now, I think Elon Musk is amazing. I enjoyed his biography. I like watching his leadership. I see what he's doing with his various companies. He is making things happen. He is a dreamer, but he's also a doer. He has a dose of practicality. He gets the money to accomplish these amazing goals. There is nothing that says Elon Musk is not an amazing business person and accomplished leader. However, he is a very strong leader. And if you read his biography, there's a lot of talk about how he has these surges and he calls everybody in, he moves people around. And you see the same thing in his board meetings. If you read that 201-page opinion, it talks a lot about how Elon Musk controlled the negotiation of his pay package and how he set the timeline. I was talking the other day to a friend of mine who runs a company with a board, and we were talking about how he couldn't go to his board and set a timeline like Elon Musk did, right? It would be unheard of at any other Fortune 500 company that I can think of. And let me know in the comments if you know an exception to this rule. But in any Fortune 500 company, if a CEO wanted a new pay package, they would not set the general terms to the board and they would not set the timeline for the board, right? Elon Musk did that according to the Delaware opinion. He told the board he wanted them working on it. He told them when he wanted to vote. He told them what he wanted his pay package to look like. He was really setting it, right? Who was controlling the company? And that was really one of the big concerns in Delaware. So all of the states, either Delaware or Texas, or even if he picked another state, largely you're going to have these same types of issues with the degree of control and honestly with some of the professionalism. You would think that Tesla, being such a large company, would be extremely professionally run. You would think that they would have everything dotted and crossed. But we have a former divorce lawyer who's probably a very good lawyer that is their head corporate counsel. And he's documenting these types of transactions. I don't know if he's thinking about all these details. Certainly, the Delaware court kept mentioning his background and history and wasn't happy with how he documented things. And the lesson for you and for me and for Tesla is we don't know if we would have a different outcome. Even if Elon Musk took the exact same pay package for a Texas corporation and ran it through the exact same way, we don't know that the Texas court would come out with this different outcome. I could certainly see a court, politically motivated or not, could come out to a similar outcome. They could say, look, this board is controlled. Elon set the timeline. Elon set the general terms. Elon didn't disclose information to the shareholders, and this pay package is so huge it wasn't properly documented as being entirely fair. I could see a Texas court also rejecting this. And you have to remember, too, even within Texas, which is thought about as being a very, very red state, even in very red Texas, there are some blue pockets. So to the extent people want to make this a political issue, and I'm not so sure it is based on my reading, what if you end up in front of a judge or jury in Austin? What if you're in a very blue district or you just happen to pull a blue judge in Texas? Certainly possible in different areas in Dallas County, in Houston, in Austin. You could certainly get a judge that could have political motivations. But I think what I'm seeing here from that Delaware opinion is probably beyond politics. Now, we'll never know. We only know what the judge wrote, but she did 201 pages really documenting some real problems there. Now, hopefully, when this vote comes up for the next pay package for Elon Musk in Texas, and I have to imagine another one's going to be coming, hopefully he takes some lessons from Delaware and looks at who's on the board, looks at their conflicts of interest, documents that, gets perhaps some people who are more independent involved, maybe does a better job of showing the entire fairness, and perhaps does a better disclosure to the stockholders to protect himself. Those are the real lessons. So now what I imagine is going to happen is this vote that's going to come up in Texas to this hypothetical pay package for Elon Musk. Hopefully, he'll have some very smart lawyers involved who will document it better and use essentially that Delaware opinion as a checklist of what to do and what not to do. And the truth is, you and I could do the exact same thing. We could use that 201-page opinion as a checklist of what to do and what not to do. And there's a lot of what not to do. And I think that lesson's getting missed by Elon and his team. They are very upset about being Delaware. They're screaming politics. But if they really sat down and read that opinion, there's a lot of lessons there. And those lessons apply to you and me when we're working with organizations that aren't quite as large as Tesla, which I imagine most of them are. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you think about the Elon Musk opinion. Please don't put anything confidential there. Obviously, any comments you put on a social media channel are going to be public. Feel free to comment. I would appreciate if you share this opinion with other, or share this video with other people might be interested. There's a much longer video where I go through that 201-page Delaware opinion and give a lot of lessons and talk a lot of things that I have not seen discussed in the media. There's many aspects of that opinion. I don't know how many people have actually read it other than corporate lawyers, but I am not seeing any mainstream coverage. You can be one of the ones in the know. You can check that on our YouTube channel. Comment on that one as well. I'll see you for more videos soon. Let me know if there's any topics you want me to cover, and I'll catch you later. Shawn McBride signing off.